the way I came to God, which was I needed evidence. I did the whole church thing. I was in the Marine Corps. We had a choice on Sundays: go to church and relax in the air condition, or shine boots all day long. So we went to church, of course, but I didn't really believe in any of it, you know. And time came for me to make a decision in my life. I was 23. I'm now 42, and I decided I'm not going to follow these people. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Straight up, like, seems like a lie. How am I going to prove or disprove God exists? And is there any evidence? Is there any evidence offered to me from any God, whether it be Allah, whether it be Krishna? So I started doing research to see which God is offering evidence to me, without money, without going to anyone else, just to me. And Jesus said in John 14, if you do what I say, I will come to you. You will see me. I'll show myself to you. Now I thought, okay, this sounds like it's evidence. He's going to appear to me. It says he's going to appear right here. It says if anyone does what I say, not just to the apostles. Some people argue that's for them. If anyone does what I command, I'll show myself to them. So I thought, okay, now how am I going to distinguish, like, okay, what does he want me to do? So, okay, I decided, okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it, and it said, follow me. And he went to the desert for 4 religions. I was studying Native American history. I was studying Aboriginal history. And a lot of these natives had one thing in common. When a boy came of age, he was sent out into the wilderness with little to no provision, and he wasn't able to come back until he had a vision. Some of these tribes actually cut off a pinky or mutilated him in a way to disgrace him if he came back without a vision because of cowardice. But I thought, you know what, this is kind of extreme, you know, but I understand the gist of it. Cut yourself off from pleasure. You know, like it says in Isaiah, in quietness and stillness, you will find salvation, but you don't want any of it. So
yeah, I mean, deprivation is a known way to kind of get into people's heads, right? I mean, we put people in solitary confinement as a form of, I guess, torture, right?
I agree with you.
People
and so
freak out.
At the time, I was single. My sister was gone to college. My parents were divorced. My mom was really sick. Like, I had to take care of her. So I thought, okay, I can't just head off into the wilderness. This is not, you know, honoring my mom. You have to honor your parents. So I went to my job. I went to work. I decided, here's what I'm going to do. For 40 days and nights, if this is a loving God, I can understand, okay, no sexual immorality, no pleasure, no entertainment. Easy. I'll disconnect the internet, no TV, no music. For 40 days, my life will be go to work.
So your evidence is your vision?
This was my idea of how to seek God to get a vision.
I don't think he's saying he had a vision yet. I don't think we've gotten there.
But anyway, so I decided to do that. Just wake up every day, just read the Bible, ask Jesus, okay, come. I was just waiting for him to somehow magically appear or not appear. I think I was as much trying to disprove this as I was to trying to prove it. I was right in the middle. I didn't want to believe. I didn't want to disbelieve. I wanted to know what was real. So I say the hardest part was staying objective for 40 days and nights. The reason I got this number was Moses went into the cave for 40 days. Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. This was a reoccurring
I'm still kind of waiting for your evidence.
Fasting. Okay, so 33 days into this, okay, now I was eating my food. I wasn't fasting because I didn't want to hallucinate. You know, I didn't want this to be a projection, a psychosomatic experience, you know. So I had my food. I'm talking about like 32 days. All I did was wait for him to come, ask for him to come, read the Bible, or do my chores and go to work. That morning, or the 33rd morning, when I'm telling you, I woke up and I felt like I was on ecstasy. I felt like I was flying. I had a friend come over and I had to kick him out of the house because I thought he had drugged me. And I was just feeling something that I'd never felt before. I mean, the only thing I can even compare it to was drugs. But that's not even in comparison. Fine, that's not a vision. I felt this amazing thing. That night I had a dream of Jesus walking down my street, a dream, releasing 7 stars out of his hand. And it went around him and it lit up the night sky and he was looking right at me. I woke up. My immediate response was, this is a dream. You said you will come to me. So now I was in the Marine Corps at the time in the reserve. So we went on our trip every summer. So, you know, I was forced to train with them and eat with them. And one day after lunch, not too long after this, I'm sitting there reading. All of a sudden, something comes over me. I can't move at all. Like, I can't even move a muscle, but I feel no fear. It's strange because I looked down at my finger and I couldn't move it. I tried to blink my eyes and I couldn't move a muscle. I not even blink. My eyes all of a sudden tilt upwards and I'm looking at the sky and I see a little star up here. And I'm thinking in my head, holy hell, this is a star? What the hell's going on here? It looks like a star. It's like 10 feet away from me. And it opens up in a second and now I'm looking at the sky and every square inch is lightning. I mean, every square inch of it is like lightning. And Jesus is right in the middle, glowing, and he came straight down to me. And I kept thinking, how am I able to see this? This is so bright. This is like 1,000 times brighter than the sun. He came up to me, stood me on my feet, stretched out my arms, and he came and he stretched himself over me. At the time, I wore glasses. I had really poor eyesight. After this experience, we had a physical, like a couple of days later. My eyes went from being horrific to like 20/40, better than perfect. I saw him face to face, straight up, came to me. And he came to me many, many, many times. So I tell people, I ask them this, look, there's a way to do something. You know, there's a certain way. If you want a bachelor's degree, you have to go through the protocol that's set forth. Now, to deny yourself all stimuli for a certain amount of time and staying objective, waiting for him to come. Forget 40 days. Have you done this for 7 days even?
Well, here's my questions. Can we ask some questions here? So first of all, it sounds like you're describing, well, first of all, were there other people around when this happened? Because I think you were saying that you were in a group setting?
Yeah, we had lunch together, and I went aside to read, but no, none of them saw what I saw.
Why not?
Vision, because the second coming of Jesus Christ is not. See, God is outside of time and space. He's not.
How do you know
in
this?
The temporal realm. No, John 14:22.
No, I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm asking. I mean, the Bible is making claims about God, and you're saying when I'm asking how you know a thing, and you say, well, this is what is claimed about it. There are things that are, I mean, you just made the claim as well, and that's not evidence that it's true. It's just you claiming it, and saying someone else also claims it is also not evidence that it's true. That's just someone else claiming it. It doesn't matter who claims it. I'm asking, how would we know this?
Okay, that's the thing with me. You're saying, well, the Bible says he's going to return for everyone to see at the same time. It doesn't say that. It says, if
I don't think I said that.
I'll come to them.
I don't.
You know? But no, so here's what I did. Immediately, I went and I found 10 atheists who had atheist channels. I didn't know about your channel before. And they're all closed down now. So I think I found like maybe 50 of them, but only 10 of them agreed to my experiment, which was for 1 week, I told them, no drinking, no smoking, no sexual lust, none of that. Resist all that for 1 week, no movies and music. Okay, can you do this? They're like, yeah, sure. For 1 week. And the deal was, if nothing happened, I would close down my ministry channel.
I'm curious, though. I mean, this doesn't make sense to me. So are you saying that you believe that if you want to find out if something exists or not, that the way to do it is to self-deprive and then to sort of appeal to the thing you want to know whether or not exists to ask it to reveal itself? Like, you don't think we should go out and investigate? You don't think that we should be looking for actual evidence of the existence of a thing? You think that just sitting in a state of self-deprivation and asking a thing to reveal itself is the objective way to discover whether or not something exists?
Depends on the thing.
Well, no, there's a reason.
But God is not in this realm.
But I mean, wait a minute, you don't know that, though. That's what I'm saying. We don't know that. That's what I'm trying to establish here is if you want to know something, you have to investigate in order to find out.
Fine. Okay, that's
what you're describing is not investigation. I think if I told you that I wanted to know whether or not, there's deer existing in Texas, and in order to find out, I went into the bathroom for 40 days and just asked a deer to reveal itself to me, and none did. Therefore, there are no deers in Texas. I mean, that would be ridiculous. That's not the way that you would establish the existence of something.
Again, that thing is a deer, which is in this realm. I figured God.
Right, but are there deer in Texas?
I researched all of them. None of them said I'll come to you where you're at.
Right, but you do understand that people in other religions have experiences like the one you're describing, and are their gods?
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I see no evidence of it whatsoever in terms of, I haven't found a single testimony of any Muslim to say, I've seen Allah. Not one. Not one. I've looked, believe me, I spent
There are people who describe current religious leaders in terms of miracles that they claim that they witnessed, like modern religious leaders.
Miracles are one thing, but to say that God, Krishna came to me and said, I'm Krishna, your God, that's never happened. I have not seen a single testimony.
Okay, you haven't convinced me it happened. You've convinced me you think it happened.
Yeah, you saw a vision, is what you're describing.
Yeah.
You deprived yourself, you saw a vision, which is normal when people deprive themselves of things and when they try really hard. When you go begging for something, that's not objective, right? If I say I'm going to go and real...
Well, the thing is if you want to buy a car, you got to go test drive it to see if you like it or not. Now, as far as God showing himself to us, Christ coming to us, he told us what to do to get the result. He expects us to follow the directions to get the result.
Right, but you understand there are a lot of people that do this thing, that say that I begged for years for this type of evidence from God, and I tried everything, and I devoted myself, and that they have no experience like this, right? Isn't that a fact?
Were they waiting for Christ to come?
See, but this is where your experience fails, because what you're basically saying is if other people try this and it doesn't work, that's not a negative, that they didn't do it right. And the problem with it is there is no defined way to do it. You basically read the Bible and came up with your own method of how you thought this should be done.
He said simply, to see me, do not love the world or anything in it.
Well, I'm simply saying, though, that there are people who do this. There are aesthetics in religions.
You're saying this, but let me talk to them and I'll question them and I'll find out that where they went is false.
Religious...
like I said, I did this with a bunch of atheists.
No, you're saying that there is no such thing as a negative. There is no negative result that would convince you. So if somebody does this and then they come back and say, I got a negative result, you simply reject it and say they just didn't do it right, and yet there are no parameters.
Asking, well, okay, were you listening to music? Were you watching movies? Or did you masturbate? Or did you do this? Or did you do that? And did you drink? And did you smoke?
And what if they say no?
They all said, oh, yeah, well,
what if they say no?
Twice, and I did this once. I said, okay, for a week.
You'll think of something else, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you're basically doing. I mean, you're saying that you're being objective, but this is probably the most biased test I've ever heard of. It's ridiculously biased because
Muslims, I had them ask for the Father of Jesus to reveal himself. And they didn't smoke, and they didn't drink, and they were able to not listen to music and watch movies. It's not that complicated of a request.
And they all saw Jesus in lightning storms?
They all saw Jesus Christ, or they had a dream. One of them, for example, had a dream. He goes, dude, you can't...
So you've never tried this with somebody when it didn't work. You're saying this works 100% of the time?
If the person actually stays true to the discipline as far as do not touch, love, yeah, every time. I haven't seen it fail yet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see this done in some controlled conditions, but I'm still going to have to say that even if this did work, let's say that you came out with a protocol, and if everybody did everything you said, at the end of it, they have a vision, that doesn't prove that a God exists. It proves that you found a way to induce a hallucination.
Like, I even took a screenshot. The guy never saw a picture of me before.
You took a screenshot of Jesus in the lightning?
I had a dream of him with Jesus, and then I woke up afterwards and went to his pictures. And
dreams are not very convincing to us.
Yeah, I mean, you even said that after your dream you weren't convinced, that you understood that it was just a dream. And now you're saying you had a vision.
Having a vision, having heaven.
Right, but it's a vision that nobody else, there's no objective evidence that what you saw was real because no one else saw it. You were the only one who saw it, and you make an excuse for that and say, oh, well, it's because of this. And then when someone does it and it doesn't work, you make excuses for that and say, well, this is why it didn't work.
Why should they get rewarded? Seeing Christ coming down.
What I'm saying is you don't get to claim that you're not biased when this is how you're reasoning. You know, you can sit there and say, well, hey, that they shouldn't be able to see it, but that's an objective way of knowing if something really occurred, right? So if I see something and no one else sees it, I should question whether or not it actually occurred, right? If I say that I saw a car accident and there's 20 other people standing around and nobody sees anything, then shouldn't I start questioning whether or not I really saw a car accident? Shouldn't I?
You can, but like I said,
why would I believe that I saw it?
It's not going to come to everybody. Only those.
The point is, you're not using any kind of objective methods to confirm what you're seeing, and you certainly haven't demonstrated that a vision is God.
First of all, if you had your own personal vision, then you could come to the conclusion of what it was.
But your vision is not convincing to us.
No, you can't. There are many people who see things that are convinced of things that they saw and what they were, and they're wrong. There are mental hospitals full of people who see things, and they think they can interpret it accurately, and they can't, right? Because they're having hallucinations, and they can't differentiate them from reality. And often you have to put these people on drugs to help them out. What I'm saying is that
people born blind. People born blind never see images They don't have any dreams of images because their brain has nothing to reference.
Okay.
There are people who were born blind, who had a near-death experience, who saw their grandparents.
How do you know what they saw? How do you know what they saw? They don't know what. How do they know what they saw? If they were born blind, how do they know what they experienced was even sight?
This is almost like saying somebody witnesses a crime and you're not going to allow eyewitness to testify.
No, it's not. It's like saying a blind person witnessed a break-in from a 20th floor and is describing to you what they saw.
It's not the fact that it's a blind person. It's the fact that it's an atheist.
You're saying blind people saw some things, and I'm saying we have no way to validate what it is they experienced, whether it even is similar to sight, or whether they're just calling it that. We don't know what they experienced.
No testimony ever about seeing anyone other than Jesus. I don't care if they're Muslim or
what
Buddhist.
Difference does that make? Let's say that this was the only it only came up with visions of this particular cult. How does that demonstrate that the vision is real and not just that this is a way to instigate this vision? It's cool that you can have a vision, but it doesn't.
What you're saying is true. Then the Muslim would see a fake dream or a manifestation of Allah.
How do I know this?
Like I said,
how do I know this? How did you know this?
Personal question. Have either of you actually ever said the words, Jesus Christ, if you're real, why don't you come show me that you're real?
Yes, I was a Christian for how many years? I believed this. I thought Jesus was working in my life.
Can you honestly tell me that you have said, Jesus, if you are real, come to me and show me?
Yes, when I was in my teens, I was terrified of hell. I really, really wanted to know whether or not Jesus was real because I was scared to go to hell, right? So I was praying all the time. I prayed for years, asking for Jesus to reveal himself to me in some way that I could take to the bank and then save myself from hell by believing. I felt like that, I just had to keep asking for something. Even though the Bible says don't ask for a sign, right? That's supposed to be wrong. You're not supposed to be asking for signs. Isn't that supposed to be a bad thing?
No, but that's for the person who's not a believer to say, hey, God, show me a sign and then I'll believe. You were already a believer. You're asking for Jesus to manifest himself.
So you're saying you have to already be a believer for this to work?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying you have to be a believer for this to work at all.
Okay, so a person who doesn't believe asks for a sign, right?
I was just giving you the context of the scripture. Like no sign will be given. First of all,
Jesus said that, right? Jesus said don't seek signs.
That's not a sign.
Wait a minute. Jesus, isn't he the one that said not to look for signs?
Oh, this is of his return.
He did, but again, did you say, I'm not saying go say, give me a sign. I'm saying you come and show yourself.
Right, but you're talking about believers, like people that are in the church versus out of the church, right? People who are Christians versus non-Christians. Is that correct? Was that the distinction you were drawing?
He makes no bias. It doesn't matter who asks to see him.
Then why did that even come up? Anyway, why does this matter? We're talking about a vision, and you're saying a vision is evidence of God, and I'm saying it's not.
What do you consider a vision? Something in your head? I'm talking about heaven opens up in front of you.
And we know it was in your head because no one else saw it. So yes, it's something in your head.
It's not. It's right.
If it wasn't in your head, then it would have been objective.
Eyes, dude.
I'm putting you on hold. If it wasn't in your head, then other people would have also observed it. The fact that they didn't means that there is no objective verification of what you saw. It was a completely subjective experience. It was in your head. Okay, now you're back on.
I went out on my own into the wilderness a little bit. I separated myself.
Okay, I'm just going to have to say at this point that you've put forward your case. If people find it convincing, then they can go and be convinced by it.
I don't believe that you said Jesus to come to you. I want to hear.
I know you don't believe it.
If you're real, show yourself to me. Do it now, and let's see.
Jesus, if you're real, show yourself to me.
Amen. All right, then.
Where is it? Where's my lightning?
Where's Jesus?
Where is the lightning and the stars?
Can I hear you say it too?
I'm trying to figure out what was supposed to happen just then.
You're going to get a vision. Don't worry about it. You already said it.
But if I get a vision, that's not going to convince me that a God exists. So what good does it do?
Let's see how you testify about it.
Oh my gosh, visions are not.
God's going to get you if you don't believe in him now.
You don't have to believe him. All you need to do is ask for him to come to you and show himself to you.
We're going to be moving along. Thanks for your call, Alex. Okay, so if you believe that visions are God's, then you can deprive yourself of all kinds of things and beg for a vision. And if you get one, then Good for you. I personally just think that a vision is a vision, a dream is a dream, a hallucination is a hallucination. If other people don't witness what you think you witnessed, you should question your judgment. That's my 2 cents.
Doesn't fall under the auspices of objective
there's
evidence.
nothing objective about that test that he was describing. It was a completely biased test, and when it fails, it's just, well, let's look for the excuse for why we can rule out all the negative results.